The massive alien ship dropped out of hyperspace with a flash of blue light. It was 3 times bigger than any human vessel, covered in sharp angles and glowing purple lines. This was the flagship of the Zephyrian Empire, one of the most powerful forces in the galaxy. Commander Eric Johnson stood on the bridge of the U.S. Defiance, Earth's newest defense ship. He watched the alien vessel on the main screen, his coffee mug forgotten in his hand. "That's a big one," he said quietly. His second-in-command, Sarah Miller, looked up from her computer screens. Her fingers moved quickly over the controls. "Sir, they're scanning us. Their energy readings are off the charts." "Keep our weapons powered down," Johnson ordered. "We don't want to look threatening." "Send them the standard greeting message." In the Zephyrian ship, Supreme Chancellor Vextor sat in his command chair. His 6 arms moved gracefully as he reviewed the data about these humans. The Zephyrians had heard stories about Earth, but Vextor didn't believe them. How dangerous could a species be that had only been in space for 200 years? "These humans have only basic technology," said his science officer. "Their ships are small and primitive." Vextor's purple eyes narrowed. "The galaxy fears them for some reason. I want to know why." He turned to his weapons officer. "Fire a warning shot across their orbital platform. Let's see how they react." Back on the Defiance, alarm suddenly screamed. Sarah's eyes went wide. "Commander, they're charging weapons." "Shields up." Johnson dropped his coffee mug. It shattered on the floor. "All hands to battle stations." The first plasma bolt shot from the alien ship. It was bright green and moved faster than anything the humans had seen before. The bolt slammed into Earth's orbital defense platform, sending pieces of metal spinning into space. For a moment, everything was quiet. The bridge crew of the Defiance stared at the screen in shock. No one had attacked Earth in 50 years. Then something changed in Commander Johnson's eyes. It wasn't anger. It wasn't fear. It was something deeper, something that had been sleeping in human nature for a long time. It was determination. "Send a message to all Earth forces," Johnson said calmly. "Code red. We are under attack." Within seconds, every human ship in the solar system received the message. Cargo vessels stopped their routes. Mining ships abandoned their asteroids. Military vessels powered up their engines. Even the old training ships near Mars started moving toward Earth. Admiral Lisa Carter was eating lunch when the alert came through. She put down her sandwich and walked quickly to the command center. "Status report," she demanded. "Unknown alien vessel fired on Platform 7, reported her aide. "Minor damage, no casualties. The aliens are holding position." Carter nodded slowly. "They want to see what we'll do." "How many ships can we mobilize?" 40 within the hour, Admiral. Another 100 in 6 hours. The Zephyrians watched as human ships began moving. Vextor was confused. The humans weren't firing back. They weren't running away. They were just gathering. "Supreme Chancellor," his communications officer said, "we're receiving multiple messages from the humans. They're asking why we fired." "Let them wonder," Vextor said. "We've made our point. Prepare to leave." But as the Zephyrian ship turned to jump to hyperspace, something unusual happened. Every human ship locked its sensors onto them. Not their weapons, just their sensors. It was as if every human eye in the solar system was watching them. "Sir," Sarah Miller said aboard the Defiance, "I've tagged their quantum signature. Wherever they go, we can follow them." Johnson nodded. "Send that data to every ship in the fleet." The Zephyrians jumped to hyperspace, confident they had shown their power. They had no idea they had just made the biggest mistake in their empire's history. They had awakened something in humanity that the galaxy had only heard rumors about. The humans were coming, and they would never, ever give up. The Zephyrian ship emerged from hyperspace near a quiet red star. The crew celebrated their escape. They had shown those primitive humans who was stronger. Now they could return home with their report. Supreme Chancellor Vextor relaxed in his command chair. "Set course for Zephyria Prime. Normal speed. Let's enjoy the journey home. His navigation officer started plotting the course. Everything seemed peaceful. The humans were probably still trying to figure out what had happened. After all, their technology was centuries behind the great Cypherian Empire. 3 hours later, alarms rang through the ship. "Supreme Chancellor," the sensor officer shouted. "Ships dropping out of hyperspace, 20 of them." The view screen filled with human vessels. They appeared in perfect formation around the Cypherian ship. In the center was the U.S. Defiance, with Commander Johnson still at the helm. "How did they find us?" Vextor demanded. His purple skin grew pale. On the Defiance, Sarah Miller smiled at her screens. "Quantum signature tracking is working perfectly, sir." "They can't hide from us." Johnson activated the communication system. "Cypherian vessel, this is Commander Johnson. You fired on our space station. We need to discuss this." Vextor was shocked. No species had ever tracked a Cypherian ship through hyperspace before. "This is impossible," he muttered. Then, louder, "Prepare for another jump. Random coordinates." The alien ship's engines glowed bright blue. In a flash, they were gone again. But the humans were ready. Admiral Lisa Carter commanded from her flagship, the U.S. Persistence. "All ships, follow that signature. Johnson, take the lead group. I'll bring the second wave." Across human space, more ships were joining the hunt. Cargo captains volunteered their vessels. Mining ships installed tracking equipment. Even private yachts offered to help. The message spread quickly. Someone had attacked Earth, and humanity would not let it go. The Cypherians emerged near a binary star system. They had barely arrived when the first human ships appeared. This time, there were 30 of them. Again? Vextor couldn't believe it. "Jump immediately. Don't even stop." For 6 hours, the chase continued. The Cypherians jumped from star to star. Each time, human ships found them within minutes. Each time, more human vessels joined the pursuit. Captain Amy Torres commanded one of the newer ships. Her crew had been on a training mission when the call came. Now they were part of the greatest chase in human history. "Lock onto their signature," she ordered. "Don't lose them." On the 20th jump, the Cypherians stopped near a space station belonging to the Altarian Republic. The peaceful Altarians watched in amazement as 40 human ships surrounded the Cypherian vessel. The Altarian station commander sent a message to both sides. "What is the meaning of this?" "This is neutral space." Johnson responded first. "The Cypherians fired on our orbital platform. We're simply following them to discuss the matter." The Altarian was confused. Following them? Across the galaxy? For one shot that caused minor damage? "Yes," Johnson said simply. "They started something. We intend to finish it." The Cypherians requested emergency fuel from the station. Their engines were strained from so many jumps. The Altarians agreed, but they also sent word across their network. Soon, the entire galaxy was watching this strange chase. Vextor paced his bridge. His crew was exhausted. They had never jumped so many times in such a short period. "How do they keep finding us?" he demanded. His science officer had been studying the problem. "They've locked onto our quantum signature, Supreme Chancellor. Every time we jump, we leave a trail. Their tracking technology is impressive." "Can we change our signature?" "Not without completely rebuilding our engines." On the human flagship, Admiral Carter studied the star maps. "They're heading toward their home space," she observed. "But at this rate, it'll take them months to get there." "Should we let them go, Admiral?" an officer asked. Carter shook her head. "No. They need to understand. When you attack humanity, we don't forgive, and we don't forget. We follow. We persist. We never give up." The galaxy was about to learn why humans were so feared. It wasn't their weapons or their numbers. It was their absolute refusal to let any threat go unanswered. 3 weeks passed. The Cypherian ship was showing signs of wear. Paint peeled from its hull. Engine ports glowed an unhealthy orange. Inside, the crew moved slowly, their 6 arms hanging tired at their sides. Supreme Chancellor Vextor no longer sat proudly in his command chair. He slumped, his purple eyes dull with exhaustion. "Status report," he said weakly. "Engines at 60% efficiency," reported his chief engineer. "We've jumped 217 times. The hyperspace core needs rest." "We can't rest," Vextor replied. "They're still following us." Indeed, the humans were still there. Their ships had formed a routine. When the Zephyrians jumped, half the human fleet followed immediately. The other half stayed behind to resupply and rest. Then they would switch. The humans were always fresh. The Zephyrians were always tired. Lieutenant Danny Kim worked on the U.S. Tracker, one of the pursuit ships. He studied his screens carefully. "Admiral Carter, I've been monitoring their energy output. They're using more power for each jump. Their engines are failing." Admiral Carter nodded from her command screen. "How long until they have to stop?" "At this rate, maybe 2 more weeks. Their hyperspace core will burn out if they push it harder." The humans had turned the chase into a science. They set up supply stations along the route. Fresh crews rotated in. Damaged ships went back for repairs while new ones joined. Earth's entire space industry had reorganized itself around this one purpose, following the Zephyrians. Engineer Katie Brooks worked day and night on new tracking methods. "I've improved our sensors," she reported to Commander Johnson. "We can now predict where they'll exit hyperspace within 1,000 kilometers." "Excellent work," Johnson said. He hadn't been home in 3 weeks, but he wasn't tired. None of the humans were. They had found a purpose that united them. The Zephyrians made another jump, this time to a system with a yellow star and 7 planets. As always, human ships appeared minutes later. But this time, something was different. "Supreme Chancellor," the communications officer said, "we're receiving messages, not from the humans, from everyone." The screen lit up with hundreds of signals. Ships from every major galactic power were watching. The Draconians, the Regellians, the Tausetians, even the mysterious Void Walkers had sent observer vessels. One message stood out. It was from the Galactic Council itself. To both parties, "The galaxy is watching. This pursuit has continued for 3 weeks. Human determination has been noted. Zephyrian exhaustion is evident. Is it not time for dialogue?" Vextor wanted to respond, to beg for help, but pride stopped him. The Zephyrians were supposed to be powerful. They couldn't show weakness. Captain Maria Sanchez of the U.S. Relentless had an idea. "Admiral, what if we make this easier for them?" "What do you mean?" Carter asked. "We offer them a deal. Safe passage to the nearest neutral station. Medical help for their crew. All they have to do is agree to talk." Carter considered this. "Send the message." The offer reached the Zephyrian ship. Vextor read it slowly. His second-in-command leaned close. "Supreme Chancellor, the crew needs rest. Our food supplies are low. The humans are offering help." "It could be a trap," Vextor said. "Look at them." His officer gestured to the view screen. "They've had dozens of chances to attack. They just follow. Maybe they really do just want to talk." Meanwhile, young Ensign Laura Chen was writing letters home. "Dear Mom," she wrote, "we're still chasing the aliens. It's been 3 weeks. Everyone says this is crazy, but I understand now. We're not chasing them to hurt them. We're chasing them to show the galaxy who we are. When someone attacks us, we don't let it go. But we don't seek revenge either. We seek justice. And justice requires patience." The galaxy watched and waited. News reporters from 100 worlds followed the chase. Military academies studied the human tactics. Philosophers debated the meaning of such determination. But for the tired Zephyrian crew, only one question mattered. How long could they keep running from an enemy who never seemed to tire? The Zephyrian ship drifted in empty space. Its engines were silent. For the first time in 6 weeks, it wasn't preparing to jump. The great vessel that had once inspired fear across star systems now looked small and tired. Supreme Chancellor Vextor sat alone in his quarters. Reports lay scattered on his desk. The hyperspace core had finally cracked. They had enough power for maybe one more jump. After that, they would be stranded. A soft knock came at his door. It was his daughter, Vexara, who served as a junior officer. She entered and stood quietly. "Father," she said, "the crew is waiting. What are your orders?" Vextor looked at his daughter. She was young, full of the same pride he once had. But her eyes showed fear now. Not of the humans, but of what would happen to their ship, their crew, their families. On the bridge, Chief Navigation Officer Zactel monitored the human fleet. 60 ships now surrounded them. They maintained perfect formation, never aggressive, never backing down, just waiting. "They're not even pointing weapons at us," Zactel said to his assistant. "They're just there, watching, always watching." Commander Johnson on the U.S. Defiance received a report from his sensors officer. "Sir, the Zephyrian ship has stopped all engine activity. They're not preparing for another jump." Finally, Johnson said. He turned to his communications officer. "Get Ambassador Park on the line." Helen Park had been waiting for this moment. She smoothed her uniform and activated the communication system. "Zephyrian vessel, this is Ambassador Park. We see you've stopped. We're here to help. Please respond." This time, there was an answer. The view screen flickered, and Vextor appeared. He looked different now. The proud Supreme Chancellor was gone. In his place sat a tired leader who had finally understood something important. "Ambassador Park," he said slowly, "I wish to speak." The bridge of every human ship fell silent. After 6 weeks, the Zephyrians were ready to talk. "Supreme Chancellor," Helen said gently, "we're listening." Vextor struggled with the words. We cannot run anymore. Our ship is damaged. My crew is exhausted. But more than that, I finally understand. You were never chasing us to destroy us." "No," Helen agreed. "We weren't. You were chasing us to make us face our actions, to take responsibility." Vextor's voice cracked. "In my culture, we value strength. We saw your pursuit as aggression. But it wasn't, was it?" Captain Maria Sanchez had been listening. She activated her comm system. "Supreme Chancellor, this is Captain Sanchez. You fired on our home. In most cultures, that means war. But humans, we chose a different path. We chose to make you understand the weight of your actions." The conversation was being broadcast across the galaxy. Billions of beings watched as these two civilizations finally talked. "What happens now?" Vextor asked. Admiral Carter joined the conversation. "Now, we help repair your ship. We escort you to Earth. You apologize formally. You pay for the damages. You sign a treaty. Then you go home. That's all." Vextor couldn't believe it. "After chasing us across the galaxy." "That's all," Carter confirmed. "We never wanted to hurt you. We wanted justice. And justice means making things right." Chief Engineer Katie Brooks was already preparing repair teams. "We can have their engines running in 2 days," she reported. "Full repairs might take a week." Around the galaxy, observers were amazed. The humans were offering to repair the ship they had chased. They were turning enemies into, what? Friends? Allies? Young Ensign Laura Chen watched the proceedings with tears in her eyes. She understood what was happening. This wasn't just about one incident. This was humanity showing the galaxy who they really were. The Zephyrian crew began to emerge from their hiding places. They looked at the human ships with new eyes. Not as predators who had hunted them, but as patient teachers who had pursued them with a lesson. "Ambassador Park," Vextor said, "we accept your terms." "And thank you." "Thank you for what?" Helen asked. "For teaching us something we should have known. That strength isn't about weapons or power. It's about persistence, patience, and the wisdom to know when to fight and when to forgive." The 6-week chase was over. but its impact on galactic civilization was just beginning. The repair work began immediately. Human engineers floated across space in their sealed suits, carrying tools and equipment to the damaged Zephyrian ship. The aliens watched nervously as their former pursuers now worked to fix their vessel. Chief Engineer Katie Brooks led the repair team. She moved confidently through the alien ship's corridors, studying their technology. Fascinating design, she told her team. Different from ours, but the basic principles are the same. The Zephyrian engineer Kixpar followed her, his 6 arms twitching with anxiety. You're not going to sabotage us. Katie looked surprised. Why would we do that? We said we'd help, so we're helping. She patted the broken hyperspace cord gently. This is beautiful technology. It just needs some care. On the bridge, Commander Johnson sat with Supreme Chancellor Vextor. They shared a meal together, something unthinkable just days before. The human food was strange to Vextor, but he ate it politely. I must ask, Vextor said, how did your species develop such persistence? Johnson smiled. Our history is full of long pursuits. Ancient humans would chase prey for days until it collapsed from exhaustion. We call it persistence hunting. I guess we never lost that trait. As days passed, something unexpected happened. The 2 crews began to mix. Ensign Laura Chen befriended a young Zephyrian officer named Kretak. They discovered they both loved stellar cartography. Your star maps are incredible, Laura said, looking at the Zephyrian charts. You've explored regions we've never seen. Kretak's purple skin brightened with pride. We've been traveling space for thousands of years. But your tracking technology, we had no idea humans were so advanced. The repairs continued smoothly. Human and Zephyrian engineers worked side by side. They shared techniques, compared notes, and slowly began to respect each other's expertise. Captain Maria Sanchez organized cultural exchange sessions. Humans demonstrated their music and art. Zephyrians showed their light sculptures and harmony crystals. The ships that had chased each other across the galaxy now drifted together in friendly formation. One evening, the Zephyrian doctor approached the human medical team. We have sick crew members, he admitted. The stress of the chase. Some haven't recovered. Dr. James Wright didn't hesitate. Bring them to our medical bay. We'll help. The journey back to Earth took 3 weeks. During this time, the 2 species learned about each other. The Zephyrians discovered that humans love to laugh, to share stories, to help others. Humans learned that Zephyrians valued family bonds and had a deep connection to their ancestors. Ambassador Helen Park held daily meetings with Vextor's diplomatic team. They worked on the formal apology and the treaty terms. The document grew from a simple agreement into a comprehensive peace accord. This treaty, Helen explained, isn't just about one incident. It's about building a future where our peoples can work together. Young officers from both sides started a joint navigation project. They combined human tracking technology with Zephyrian star maps to create the most detailed galactic chart ever made. Look at this, said Lieutenant Danny Kim excitedly. With your long-range sensors and our tracking algorithms, we can map uncharted regions faster than ever before. As Earth grew closer, Vextor felt nervous again. What if your people demand revenge? What if they're angry? Admiral Carter put a hand on his shoulder, a gesture of comfort she had learned from the Zephyrians. Our people want justice, not revenge. You'll see. The combined fleet passed Mars, then the Moon. Earth appeared before them, blue and beautiful. The Zephyrian crew gasped at its beauty. So much water, whispered Kretak. It's gorgeous. News of the returning fleet had spread across Earth. Instead of angry crowds, preparations for a historic ceremony were underway. Schools taught children about the Zephyrians. Scientists prepared to exchange knowledge. The whole planet seemed to hold its breath for this moment. As they approached Earth's orbital stations, Vextor realized something profound. The humans hadn't just chased them to make a point. They had chased them to bring them home, to turn conflict into connection, to transform a moment of aggression into an opportunity for alliance. The greatest chase in human history was about to end not with conquest, but with friendship. Earth's Grand Assembly Hall had never hosted so many different species. Representatives from 100 worlds filled the massive chamber. The Altarians sat in their crystal chairs. The Draconians coiled their serpentine bodies on heated platforms. The mysterious Void Walkers floated in their dark spheres. At the center of it all stood Supreme Chancellor Vextor. His purple skin showed nervously shifting patterns. Beside him, Admiral Lisa Carter and Ambassador Helen Park represented humanity. The ceremony was being broadcast to every inhabited world in known space. The President of Earth, elderly but sharp-eyed, stepped forward. "We gather here today to witness something unprecedented. Not a surrender, not a victory celebration, but a transformation. Chancellor Vextor, please step forward." Vextor moved to the central platform. His 6 arms trembled slightly. He looked out at the assembled beings and began to speak. 7 weeks ago, I made a terrible mistake. In my pride, I ordered an attack on Earth's orbital platform. I believed humans were weak. I thought one shot would prove Zephyrian superiority. He paused, gathering strength. I was wrong. The hall was silent. Even the constantly humming crystalline delegates stopped their vibrations to listen. The humans could have destroyed us. When they caught us, they could have demanded our surrender, our technology, our resources. Instead, they asked for this. Vextor held up the treaty. An apology. Reparations for damage done. A promise of peace. He turned to face the Earth delegation. People of Earth, I stand before you and the galaxy to say, I am sorry. The Zephyrian Empire is sorry. We will pay for all damages. We sign this treaty gladly. And we thank you. Thank us. The Earth President looked curious. For what? For teaching us the true meaning of strength. You chased us not with weapons, but with determination. You caught us not with force, but with patience. You defeated us not through war, but through wisdom. Admiral Carter stepped forward. The galaxy needs to understand something. Humans are not warriors by choice. We are builders, explorers, dreamers. But when threatened, we become something else. We become persistent. We never give up. Not because we love conflict, but because we believe in justice. The treaty signing began. As Vextor placed his mark on the document, he spoke again. There's more. The Zephyrian Empire offers Earth full trading rights. We share our star maps. We open our academic institutions to human students. This incident has shown us that humans are not enemies to fear, but allies to cherish. The assembly erupted in surprised murmurs. This went far beyond the required treaty terms. Young Captain Maria Sanchez, who had been part of the chase from the beginning, was called to speak. During the journey home, something amazing happened. Our engineers worked together. Our navigators shared knowledge. Our young officers became friends. We discovered that Zephyrians and humans have much in common. The Galactic Council's ancient moderator, a being of pure energy, pulsed with approval. This day marks a new chapter in galactic history. The human method of justice through persistence rather than violence will be studied for generations. As the ceremony continued, smaller moments showed the real change. Kretak and Laura Chin demonstrated their combined star charts. Zephyrian and human doctors announced the Joint Medical Research Program. Engineers from both species revealed plans for a new type of ship that combined their technologies. The Earth President made the final statement. Let every civilization know, Earth seeks peace. We offer friendship to all. But if you attack us, we will pursue you. Not to destroy, but to bring you to justice. And if possible, to turn you from enemy into friend. As the assembly ended, something remarkable happened. The Zephyrian delegation didn't leave immediately. They mingled with humans, exchanged contact information, made plans for future visits. The greatest chase in human history had ended not with a conquered enemy, but with a new alliance. Watching it all, Commander Eric Johnson smiled. The coffee mug he had dropped 7 weeks ago had started something incredible. Sometimes, he thought, the best victories come not from winning a fight, but from avoiding one altogether while still achieving justice. The room fell silent as the radar operator stared at her screen. She blinked twice, then looked again. The blip was still there, moving steadily toward Earth. "Director Collins, you need to see this," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Patricia Collins moved quickly across the control room of Luna Base. At 53, she carried herself with the confidence earned through decades of service to the United Earth Space Command. She leaned over the operator's shoulder and squinted at the screen. "Confirm identity," she ordered. The operator's fingers flew across the keyboard. "Ship signature matches ESV Horizon, 98% certainty." The air seemed to leave the room all at once. Everyone knew what this meant. The Horizon had vanished 5 years ago, with all hands presumed lost. "That's impossible," Collins said, but the evidence was right there on the screen. Within minutes, the command center was fully staffed. Collins called an emergency meeting with her top advisors in the glass-walled conference room overlooking Earth. The Horizon disappeared near Neptune's orbit 5 years, 2 months, and 14 days ago, she reminded them. "We searched for 11 months. Nothing was ever found. Not even debris. Could it be a mistake? Someone using the Horizon signature?" asked Alan Murphy, the base's technology expert. His glasses slid down his nose as he studied the data on his tablet. Collins shook her head. "Each ship has unique signature patterns. It's like a fingerprint. This is the Horizon." Samantha Bennett, head of security, leaned forward. "The question is, where has it been for 5 years? And who's flying it now?" The room grew quiet as they considered the possibilities. None were comforting. "We need to assemble a team," Collins decided. "And we need to do it fast. The ship will reach Earth orbit in less than 18 hours. Collins selected her team carefully. Dr. Murphy would examine any technology on the ship. Major Bennett would handle security concerns. And she made a call to Earth to bring up Kevin Rodriguez, one of the original engineers who had helped build the Horizon. Rodriguez arrived 6 hours later, looking tired but alert. At 36, his dark hair already showed streaks of gray. The disappearance of the Horizon had hit him hard. His best friend, Frank Martinez, had been the ship's engineer. "Is it really the Horizon?" were his first words to Collins. "All signs point to yes," she answered, "but we don't know what condition it's in or who's aboard." Rodriguez rubbed his eyes. The commander was Daniel Wright. Good man. There were 16 people total on that ship, all top in their fields. Collins nodded. "I knew Wright. Steady, reliable. Not the type to disappear without a trace." As the Horizon moved closer, they gathered more data. The ship's exterior appeared intact, but scans showed significant modifications to its structure. Materials that didn't match the original specs. Power readings that made no sense. "Whatever that is," Murphy said, pointing to the energy signature, "it's not the fusion drive the Horizon left with. This is something else entirely." They tried to make radio contact, but received no response. Only an automated approach signal, using standard UESC protocols, but transmitted in a way that their computers struggled to process. The tension grew as the ship entered Earth orbit and began its approach to the checkpoint station, where Collins and her team waited. "Look at the hull," Rodriguez said, watching through the viewport as the ship drew near. Those patterns weren't there before. The Horizon's hull now featured subtle, flowing lines that seemed to shift when viewed from different angles. As the docking procedure began, everyone noticed how smoothly the ship moved, like it was gliding through water instead of space. "Docking complete," announced the station's computer. Collins looked at her team. "Let's go meet whatever's come home to us." As the airlock cycled, they stood ready. The inner doors slid open with a hiss. 3 people stepped through. They wore the familiar blue uniforms of UESC, though the material seemed different somehow. In the center stood Commander Daniel Wright, looking exactly as he had 5 years ago. To his right was Laura Peterson, the ship's science officer, and to his left was Frank Martinez, Rodriguez's old friend. "Permission to come aboard," Wright said with a slight smile that didn't reach his eyes. "We've come a long way home." The meeting room fell into an uncomfortable silence. Commander Wright and his 2 crew members sat on one side of the table while Director Collins and her team sat on the other. 5 years of questions hung in the air between them. "You look exactly the same," Rodriguez finally said, staring at his old friend Frank Martinez. "Not a day older." Martinez smiled, but something about the expression seemed practiced. "It's good to see you too, Kevin." Director Collins cleared her throat. "Commander Wright, we have protocols for situations like this. Your crew will need to undergo medical evaluation and will need to inspect the horizon." Wright nodded. His movements were smooth, almost too perfect. "We understand. We've been preparing for this return for some time." 5 years is a long time to be missing," Major Bennett said, her eyes narrowed slightly. "Where exactly have you been?" The 3 crew members exchanged glances before Laura Peterson spoke. "That's difficult to explain with our current vocabulary. We encountered an anomaly near Neptune. It transported us. Elsewhere." "Elsewhere?" Dr. Murphy leaned forward, his scientific curiosity clearly piqued. "Another planet. Another galaxy. Another perspective," Wright said cryptically. "We were found by beings who showed us things beyond human understanding. They helped us, changed the ship." The room grew even more tense. Collins raised an eyebrow. "Changed you how?" "Perhaps it would be easier to show you," Peterson suggested. She raised her hand and the lights in the room dimmed, then brightened, without her touching any controls. Rodriguez jumped up from his seat. "How did you do that?" "The station's systems are primitive but accessible," Peterson explained, like a teacher talking to a young student. "We can interface with technology directly now." Major Bennett's hand moved closer to her sidearm. Collins gave her a slight nod to stand down for now. "I think that medical evaluation needs to happen immediately," Collins said. The 3 crew members were taken to separate examination rooms. Dr. Murphy joined the medical team for Wright's evaluation, while Rodriguez observed Martinez's exam, and Bennett watched Peterson. Murphy couldn't believe the readings from Wright's body scan. "This isn't possible," he muttered, running the scan a second time. "Your muscle density should have deteriorated after 5 years in space. Instead, it's improved. Your cellular structure shows no signs of radiation damage. And your brain activity." He trailed off, staring at the patterns on his screen. "Our bodies have been optimized," Wright explained calmly. "The architects saw our physical forms as inefficient. They helped us improve." "The architects?" Murphy asked. "That's what we call them. They exist in a dimension alongside ours, watching, learning. They've been observing Earth for millennia." In the next room, Rodriguez was having an equally disturbing conversation with Martinez. "Frank, do you remember that time we snuck into the officers' lounge at the Academy?" Rodriguez asked, trying to connect with his old friend. Martinez paused too long before answering. "Yes, that was amusing." "We never did that, Frank," Rodriguez said quietly. "What's happened to you?" Martinez's expression didn't change. "I am still Frank Martinez, but I am also more now." Meanwhile, Bennett watched as Peterson underwent her examination. The science officer sat perfectly still, her breathing so controlled it barely registered on the monitors. "You said you can interface with technology," Bennett said. "What else can you do?" Peterson turned to look at her. "We've learned to see the universe as it truly is. Information flows through everything. Matter, energy, thoughts. They're all connected. We can tap into these flows now." Back in the meeting room, Collins received the preliminary reports. None of the returned crew members showed signs of disease or physical threat, but their bodies had been altered at the cellular level. Their brain scans revealed patterns never before recorded in humans. "We need to examine the ship," Collins decided. The group made their way to the docking bay where the Horizon waited. As they approached, Rodriguez gasped. Up close, the changes were even more apparent. The ship's hull flowed with subtle patterns that seemed to react to their presence. "The Horizon is alive now," Wright said simply, placing his hand on the hull. The metal rippled under his touch like water. "And it has so much to show you."